Okay, thank you for tuning in to this Tuesday, August the 4th, Organic News here on Awake Radio, and I am Catherine Waters, and my YouTube is April Waters with double T, and we're going to get right to Gerald Celente of Trends Research Institute. Okay, Gerald, a pioneer trend strategist, founded the Trends Research Institute in 1980. He's the author of the national bestseller Trends 2000 and Trend Tracking, Far Better Than Megatrends from Warner Books, and publisher of the internationally distributed quarterly Trends Journal. For more than 3 decades, Celente has built his reputation as a fearless teller of the truth, an accurate forecaster and analyst whose expertise crosses many arenas, from economics to politics, health to science, and more. Most important, Celente is a pure political atheist, unencumbered by political dogma, rigid ideology, or conventional wisdom. Celente, whose motto is "Think for yourself," observes and analyzes the current events, forming future trends, seeing them for what they are, not as what he'd like them to be. As with a doctor who gives his diagnosis after gathering the facts, whether or not you like the prognosis doesn't alter the outcome. It's simply what is. And while Celente holds a U.S. passport, he considers himself a citizen of the world. And your bio goes on for a couple of more paragraphs, Gerald. But I'm going to end it there because that's exactly what I blog about all the time. It's like stuff just is what it is. And just because you have a lot of money, it doesn't mean you can buy the laws of physics.
No, and people buy into their ideologies and they're afraid to look beyond them. So that's what really stops things from happening. And people call themselves, I'm a liberal, I'm a conservative, I'm a Democrat, I'm a Republican. Great. And, so if you want to categorize yourself in a tiny little spectrum of life, that's your business, but that's not what we do.
Right. The laws of nature trump anything man-made. That's my motto.
It sure does.
Okay, so in your recent Trends journal, you cover many things, and one of the things you have this reality, the presidential election reality.
Well, it's a reality show,
right.
And it's as you say, cowards, liars, freaks, and fools. Welcome to the presidential reality show. Now we have a real reality show star in it, Donald Trump.
Right. I'm glad you said his name before I did.
Yeah, so that's what it is, and what he's done, and again, I'm not voting, there's nobody there I vote for, other than possibly Chaffee, and he doesn't get any press at all because he's the only one speaking about with peace comes prosperity. But other than him, the rest are all repeating lines, and Bernie Sanders is, to me, another fraud, plays to be the dove. Yeah, dove in wolf, a wolf in dove's clothing. Yeah, I voted against the Iraq War. Yeah, but you voted to fund it, and you voted to fund every other war since, and you've also supported Obama with Ukraine, with Libya, with Syria. He's a fraud. He voted to fund every war, Afghanistan. So there's really nobody there. But so what Trump has done, he's brought life into this reality show as a reality show star. And the reason the people are clicking onto him are the issues about immigration and trade and bringing back jobs. So those are the two cards he's playing. And he says what he wants to say because he doesn't have to worry about getting money from other people.
All right. He's not on the list in your presidential reality show.
Well, when we wrote the article, he didn't announce it yet.
Right, that's what I figured.
Yeah, so we only did those when we sent that. That was the spring edition. Of course, the summer edition just came out. So that was, when we wrote about him, he came in later.
And as far as Hillary Clinton goes, I mean, haven't we had enough of the Clintons and the Bushes?
I know, the whole thing is disgusting. And it's the Bloods and the Crips. They're murderers and thieves, and nobody wants to call them that. They rather call them Democrats and Republicans. Exactly. How many more millions of people do they have to kill around the world in the name of freedom and democracy? And how much more of our money do they have to steal in the lives of too big to fail, with the bailouts and loan guarantees and tax breaks of their buddies? They're murderers and thieves.
Right. Calling things what they are is definitely one thing that I feel doesn't happen often enough. Using the appropriate terminology, I mean, that's something that I hear you talk about all the time. It's kind of one of the reasons why I really started to like you when you were calling Wall Street, junkies, which is completely accurate. People don't call them that enough. Because
people, they've lost their courage in this country. It's even to the extent, look how kids grow up. Yeah. No bullying zones. Learn how to fight. What's the matter with you? What are you? You're going to think every day is perfect? I was a little kid. I used to get picked on all the time. One time I came home crying. My father said, "You better learn how to take care of yourself." And I did. That's the way life is. And so now it's, everybody's a little, it's like what they do with everything, with sports, and there are no losers. Everybody wins. So there's no courage among people. They think they're entitled to it, and they're afraid to stand up to little boys and girls that call themselves senators, congressmen, presidents, premiers, prime ministers, and chancellors.
I think the way that we live in this, call it a modern day society, that, because back in the day when people were living closer to the land and actually had a farm, food, and maybe even make their own clothes, but today everything is, press a button. And I see that it's created a debt mentality in people. Like, instead of a challenging mentality where you step up to the plate and actually, deal with a challenge, today we live in a just not dealing with things, just kick the debt can down the road, just kind of dismiss it rather than stepping up to the plate. I've seen that all through my life with people.
Yeah, that's very true. But, that's why we're trying to do things differently. And as you well know, we're launching Occupy Peace on September 20th here in Colonial Kingston, and you've been here.
Right.
And you know how colonial it is. This is no movie set. This is the real thing. And this is where the founding fathers, every one of them, no foreign entanglements, beginning with Washington, a real commander-in-chief, not these little boys that drive pickup trucks, play pool, and shoot hoops and play golf. This is a real deal. And no foreign entanglements. And the world was at war then, as everybody knows. And we're making a difference in the sense that we think we can change it. And we have a program. This isn't a rally where people ohm and pray or yell and scream. This is an action plan. Bring home all the troops, secure the homeland, put the troops to work rebuilding our rotted infrastructure, our rotted nation.
Yeah.
And if we go to war, have Congress vote on it, as they're supposed to, as per the Constitution, and have referendums on each state ballot that will tell Congress how to vote. Because after all, we pay for the war with our money and our lives. And they're just beholden to the people that pay them off. They call them campaign contributions. Where I come from, they're called bribes and payoffs.
Right. So talk a little bit more about Occupy Peace in September the 20th.
Yeah, well, everybody can go to the website, occupypeace.us, and all the information's there. And that's the outline. This is an action plan for peace. We want to put these things into motion. We need all the help we can get. So, this is just the beginning. Again, close all the bases overseas, bring home the troops, secure the borders, no foreign entanglements, put the troops together as a work project administration to rebuild our disgusting, rotted third world infrastructure, and rather than building highways in Afghanistan and Iraq, and also to have the Congress vote whether or not to go to war, and we the people will tell them how to vote. Very simple.
And so that would definitely not involve passing the TPP.
Oh, absolutely. You know, the TPP is to rob us of more of our sovereign rights. And again, the commander-in-chief, Obama, should be brought up on treason charges.
Yeah.
He's such a liar. When he was running as candidate Obama up in the Rust Belt over there in Ohio and Michigan, talking about how unfair NAFTA was, and that when you elect me, folks, yeah, I'm going to revisit it and we're going to make it equitable, and he never did anything about it, and now he shoved this one down our throat. He's such a liar. His first day in office, he was going to close Guantanamo.
Right.
Hey, don't worry about it. 2015, we're going to cut the troop strength in Afghanistan down to half until I change my mind because I'm a liar. You know, one after another. So the TPP is just more robbing us of our constitutional rights and sovereignty.
Right, it's, you know, just more for the rich again. I mean, like as if the people can spare it anymore. I mean, it's like they're already you know, poor and struggling as it is. You know, and it just keeps going on and on and on, and at the expense of the people, and they have nothing to expend anymore.
The people don't count.
Yeah. I mean,
and anybody that thinks differently, all they have to do is look what happened in Greece.
Right.
This is the country that created democracy, and this is the country that killed it in front of our eyes. Let us not forget that on July 5th, 62% of the Greek people voted against the austerity measures on a referendum. 1 week later, the traitor, the Tsipras, the prime minister, pushed through an austerity measure that was worse than the one that they voted against. The people don't count. The money changers do. They call them banks now. And that's who got paid off. The banks that made bad bets, the banks in the Netherlands, the banks in France, the banks in Germany, the banksters. You know, nothing has changed since Christ chased them out of the temple. The money changers with a whip. Nothing has changed. They've only changed their names. So the democracy is dead. The people don't count. The Greeks proved it.
Right. It's just crystal clear that what the people not want, what they want, but what they obviously need and deserve is just carries absolutely no weight. I mean, it's blatant, right in your face. And I spoke to Kostas Panagiotakis a couple of weeks ago about Greece. He teaches sociology at New York Technical College here in New York, and speaking about Tsipras and how, you know, he was forced into it, like it was a tough choice, but he was being blackmailed into making this decision. Do you agree with that?
Well, you know, you're blackmailed. You're a man or you're not. What blackmail? How about you know, not having courage?
Right. I mean, John Perkins, who wrote the Confessions of an Economic Hitman, I mean, he wrote a bit up about Greece and just said, you know, right out, like, to the Greek people, I mean, just don't pay the debt because it's not legitimate. This is the corporatocracy and what the corporatocracy does. It's not the people's debt. Don't pay it.
No, exactly. It's the banks made a bad bet. But the banks, again, nothing has changed since, you know, again, and I'm not saying it in a religious way, nothing's changed since Christ chased the money changers out of the temple.
I know. It's so, it is really simple. Like, I can't understand why it's just not made simplified. And, because, I mean, I just look at everything like as if you were dealing with somebody, you know, your neighbor or something. I mean, you know, you just do it cut and dry. Like, that's it. I mean, just take action.
See, that's the thing, Catherine. People treat politicians different than they treat anybody in a relationship. People stoop so low and lose so much of their dignity that they actually say out loud with no reservations, I'm voting for so-and-so because he or she is the lesser of two evils.
Right.
Would anybody say, yeah, I'm in a relationship, it really stinks, but she or he is the lesser of two evils?
Exactly.
You know, I have a business partner. He's not great. He's a thief, but he's the lesser of two evils.
Right.
I have friends. They're really not, they're so-so, but they're the lesser of two evils. No one would do that.
Well, maybe, because I write about, the macrocosm versus the macrocosm, and I always scale things down to size by doing just that and talking about relationships, the circle of people that are around people, because it's the same exact way. You should be, unhealthy or dysfunctional relationships are all the same no matter what the scale. And I don't, right, but maybe the problem is that people do have dysfunctional relationships in their circle, in their close circle, which is, because that's what I always believed, that we've created this gigantic, abusive, dysfunctional family system because that's what a lot of people know.
There's a time, though, when you grow up and you let that go and you grow.
Yeah.
And most people don't. They still talk about it. Just so, we don't have a lot of time, but there's a couple of things I want to mention.
Yeah.
And one thing is going on with the economy is very important. You're seeing oil prices, again, they're down 50% from last year. You're seeing the Bloomberg Commodity Index is down to 2002 levels. So we're looking at copper, iron ore, nickel, aluminum. They're really depressed. Then you look at going back to China, and China imports about 50% of those kind of raw materials that are exported, like iron ore, copper, and coal. So China's economy is in a slowdown. That's why you have all these commodity prices sinking. It's the canary in the mine shaft. There's a global slowdown going on. You're seeing currencies. There's a country that even Americans probably know where it is. It's called Canada. They're in a recession now because of the low oil prices. Their Canadian dollar now is at 2004 lows. You're looking at the real, the Brazilian currency, 16-year lows. The Russian ruble, the Aussie dollar, the Indonesian rupiah, the Turkish lira. You go up and down the list. The Mexican peso in 1993 readjusted, when they readjusted the peso, 1993 levels against the dollar. There's a global collapse that's happening, and people don't want to see it or hear it.
Right.
They refuse to add up the facts.
Right.
And then you come back to the United States, you see where industrial production is. You see where wage growth is the lowest since they've been keeping records, since 1982, a 0.2% increase in wages, which is nothing. So anyway, people should be prepared because something ugly is in the making economically.
I completely agree. I think maybe ultimately down the road somewhere after things get really, really, really ugly, there could be a cleansing and an uprising or whatever, but there's no mathematical way that this society is not going to just completely collapse.
And not only ours, it's been a big Ponzi scheme with 0% interest rates now, going on since what? How many years? 7 years. And then you have quantitative easing. Again, I study this stuff every day. You look at
Right.
Japan with their Abenomics, and now their economy is going back. Their exports are way off. You're looking at Taiwan's exports way off. It's not doing anything other than enriching the filthy rich with the equity markets through stock buybacks and mergers and acquisitions. Period, paragraph, end of story. But the thing that I would disagree with you with is that when things get worse, they don't get better. They could get worse, to use the wrong language. They could keep deteriorating.
Right.
That's why, to me, it's important to change it before it gets out of control.
Right. I mean, and the fact that people, they really don't want to live in the reality, in the facts. I mean, how
enough do. Enough do. There's that wonderful phrase by Samuel Adams, and he talked about this at length when he said that it does not take a majority to prevail. It takes but a how do you say it? Let me just pull it up quick here. I have it here someplace. I should memorize. Here we go. It does not take a majority to prevail, but rather an irate, tireless minority, keen on setting brush fires of freedom in the minds of men.
Yeah.
That's all it takes. An irate, tireless minority. And you're it. I'm it. Luke is it. A lot of us are it. And all we have to do is put it all together.
Because when you were talking before, you made me actually think of a topic that wasn't really in our list of things to talk about, but Glass-Steagall and reinstating Glass-Steagall, which I know some group of people are really, really working on to do that.
Not only Glass-Steagall, which of course made the commercial banks. Banking, when I was a kid, they used to have a thing called banker's hours. The banks opened up at 9 o'clock in the morning and they closed at 3.
Right.
It was a boring business.
Yeah.
And then they became casinos that gambled because of Glass-Steagall. And by the way, the guy that started the whole process was Carter when he deregulated usury laws.
Right.
And they allowed banks to charge any interest that they wanted. Those laws were put in place. And Carter killed a lot of things. He created the Mujahideen with trying to defeat Russia, the Brzezinski policy, and he also was the guy that deregulated the airline industry and turned it into an oligarch-run organization. Anyway, Glass-Steagall is one of them, but the other ones are Robinson-Patman Act, Sherman Antitrust Act, Clayton Antitrust Act. That's why there was never a Walmart before, or a Walgreens that was so huge, or a CVS, or a Staples, or a Target, or a Macy's, or any of these large companies, these multinationals that control the entire sectors, because there were laws in place that prevented this from happening.
Right.
So that's why we had mom and pop businesses.
Right.
That's why this was the land of opportunity.
I thought it was Clinton that got rid of Glass-Steagall in the 90s.
No, Clinton got rid of Glass-Steagall, but Carter, I'm telling you, Carter got rid of the usury laws. He put it into process. Things began to pick up steam under Reagan, and they could not get away with NAFTA and these other laws. And that's why Clinton, because again, the lying little liberals don't want to call their person a crook and a thief. So they buy into their BS. Yeah, so Clinton deregulated Glass-Steagall. And Robert Rubin, who was the former CEO of the Goldman Sachs gang, was the Treasury Secretary under Reagan that put it into motion. And that other little lowlife, or I should say big lowlife, what's his name? He's always brilliant. Every time they talk about him, they say he's brilliant. He was the other Treasury Secretary following, I know exactly what he looks like, following Rubin. And what Rubin did also is after he left the Clinton administration, he got the job with one of the big groups he deregulated, Citigroup, with Travelers, Smith Barney, and they became Citigroup, Citibank. And he got $150 million a year for doing it.
Were you aware? I'm just going to mention this. A couple of weeks ago, Daniel Burke, who confronted Hillary Clinton about reinstating Glass-Steagall, and she just completely was ignoring him. She gave a talk, Hillary Clinton, at the New School here in New York, and he just, she wasn't taking questions or anything like that. But Daniel Burke,
yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, and
yep.
He got a lot of attention from the media outside, but she just acted like she didn't hear him.
Yeah, and it went nowhere.
Yeah.
It went nowhere.
So
Larry Summers, that's the other guy I couldn't think of.
Okay.
Larry Summers. Every time the prostitutes mention that fraud's name, it's always either Brilliant Larry Summers, Larry Brilliant Summers, or Larry Summers the Brilliant. This is the guy that really pulled the plug on so much. And they're all over. It's the same club. Look what happened with this Eric Holder. Yeah, hold this, Eric. That's Slimer who didn't prosecute one bankster. Not one. Right. And what does he do now that he left after Attorney General? Yeah. He goes back to the law firm that represents Wall Street.
Right.
It's not a revolving door. The corporations own it.
You're reading my mind, because I just jotted Eric Holder's name down as the next thing to bring up. I mean, it's despicable for Eric Holder to say that the bankers are too big to jail.
Well, he's a despicable human being.
That's like
the despicable people say and do despicable things.
That's like watching a golf match with Tiger Woods, and he stands there and he's like, I don't know, that shot looks really too hard for me to make. It's like,
Look, this is the guy under Clinton that gave the pardons to those other criminals. Remember?
Right.
Yeah. They're lowlives.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't get any clearer, people. I mean, where is the revolution?
Well, again, Occupy Peace is the beginning. And we're doing it from the most historic four corners in the United States. You were here.
Yeah.
And you saw the courthouse, the Kingston courthouse. This is the first capital of New York State. 90% of the Constitution that was written there is America's Constitution. And so what we're going to be doing is, this is where the seeds of democracy was sown. We want to help them sprout again.
Well, I'll definitely be there on September the 20th. I was going to just read a little bit about it off of your Trends Journal.
Well, anyway, you don't have to. People could go to OccupyPeace.us. They could see. We just put up a brand new website. It's all there.
Okay.
And it's up to the people.
It sure is. It definitely is, because if the people are appealing to the leaders to do it, you're going to be wasting, instead of getting robbed of your money, you're going to be getting even more robbed of your energy.
Your life. As I say, right. I'd rather fight for peace than die for war.
Right. So, one of the other topics on our list to discuss, which is in the Trends Journal, is the police brutality. Military mindset rules the actions of some cops in the journal.
It goes back to Occupy Peace.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. If you send people overseas to occupy and kill other people, innocent people, they have that same mentality against us. It's the fish rots from the head down.
Right.
And that's what we're seeing. So we're talking about Occupy Peace. It's bigger than just the peace on overseas. This is about restoring morality and dignity back into this country that's been robbed from us.
If you don't mind, I wanted to. I write articles, and someone had sent me. Eric Garner wrote in his handwritten his own writing, a complaint about being cavity searched on the street, which is why he was saying this stops today, you know, to those cops. And I wrote a bit of an article about it, and I put the form that he actually wrote, a complaint form about it, so that people can actually see that, you know, why he was saying that and what he was dealing with up until that point. And some of the comments, if I could just read you some of the comments sticking up for the police.
Oh, I see them. I see it all the time. Yeah, you know, I appreciate it, but I know. I go when anytime one of these things happen, and I go to a major website, they're mostly sticking up to the police.
And I just, you know, you know, sometimes I don't know how to answer. I mean, I did answer them, but the fact that you have to really kind of spell it out. I mean, the fact that, I mean, here it was, this video went viral, and yet people are, you know, calling Eric Garner a thug. This one guy that commented.
Look what the video that's up now about this stupid cop handcuffing a little 52-pound kid, a 5-year-old kid,
yeah,
in school.
Yeah.
Look at this every day. There's a video of brutality, black and white.
And it was a special needs child also.
I know. So again, it's the military mindset.
Yeah.
I don't support the troops.
Right.
It's a volunteer army. That's their trip. You want to join, go join. Don't tell me I have to support you. I don't want a large standing army. I want to live in the spirit of democracy that the founding fathers set forth. I don't need somebody to tell me what I should believe, and I should believe their trip that we have to be the policemen of the world. I don't support the troops going into foreign countries and in people that have not done anything to us because some psychopath called a president says Assad has to go, Gaddafi has to go, Hussein has to go. I don't support that.
Right.
Catherine, I have to run.
Okay. Gerald Celente of the Trends Research Institute. Look on trendsresearch.com to find all the information on Occupy Peace, and hope to see you in King.